Well, summer may be winding down, but as you heard earlier, the tropics are winding up.
That's right. Last week, Gordon was passing through Mississippi. This week, that gal named Florence making all the headlines to the east. And the storms, Mike, have cotton prices moving like a yo-yo. One economist advises cotton producers to stick with a plan already on paper despite any weather. An outbreak of swine fever helps the outlook for American pork, while optimism builds for the beef sector for 2019. Tropical Storm Gordon interrupted harvest across Mississippi right after the Labor Day holiday. One particular region of the state, the north central area, seemed to catch more of the tropical showers than anywhere else. For example, parts of Carroll and Montgomery counties are reporting that anywhere from 6 to 9 inches of rain fell in that area before the system moved out. The exact impact on crops in that area still not known at this time. Some breaks in a major dam in southwest Carroll County did lead to some evacuations. The Murdoch Lake Dam was breached in 2 places late Friday afternoon, September 7th. Wild price swings continue this month in the cotton market. December cotton kicked this a week off on Monday with triple-digit gains as it became clear Hurricane Florence would impact cotton fields in the Carolinas and Virginia. The up and down yo-yo-like price action began over a week ago as December cotton first traded higher and then lower in an attempt to decipher the effects of Tropical Storm Gordon.
It was really a case of expectations versus what reality actually brought. The prices went up in anticipation of perhaps some negative impacts from the storm, but then kind of pretty quickly came back down once reality of not overall negative impacts from the storm.
Well, how have export sales of U.S. cotton been running, given the trade situation with China?
Sure, the trade concerns persist, and it's definitely something that's playing a hand in this market, but more so than just the tariff situation, U.S. dollar's pretty strong, and that dollar strength also makes U.S. goods more expensive abroad. Overall, especially with China, we've seen lower export totals, and that's going to be a big piece of a big factor to watch as we move through the season.
Now, we're recording this little segment prior to the monthly Ag Supply Demand Report. Is the September number, is that usually a market mover for cotton?
Yeah, so the September WASDE report, when it comes out on September the 12th, it's really got the advantage of having most of the growing season information in it. So it's really kind of the right before harvest expectation. And then you add into the mix that we're also interested in what the trade expectations are. I would say that's certainly one worth watching for whenever it comes out.
Well, you mentioned harvest. We're not quite into the seasonal harvest pressure situation for cotton and other markets. Is that likely to move the market much?
Yeah, it absolutely could. You know, futures prices try to price in harvest expectations, but there are often some surprises along the way, and even more so if you start looking at local prices and the effect on local basis. So too early to tell right now, of course, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on.
And any marketing advice for cotton producers at this stage where we are?
I think at this stage with harvest upon us, you know, the best advice is just stick with the plan that you've made.
Time now for this week's trivia quiz on Farm Week. Let's take a look. How many of Mississippi's current residents were born in the state? Is the answer A, 36%, B, 54%, C, 61%, or D, 72%? We'll have that answer coming up. Well, the first ever outbreak of swine fever in China is leading to the shutdown of live hog markets there for the first time ever. The disease began showing up in August. It could eventually create a situation very favorable for pork producers here in the U.S. Trader Sean Hackett says the Chinese will have to buy American hogs despite the current trade tensions.
They don't have a choice. I mean, if they want to buy hogs, you run the numbers, they're going to have to buy hogs from everybody they can, and they'll be, look, pork is one of the most important diet items on the table for Chinese consumers. It is almost a religion there. So I think when it comes to that, they will put tariffs aside and they'll buy what they have to buy no matter what they have to pay for it. So we don't think that'll be an impediment to China's buying U.S. pork. It'll cause a massive bull market in hogs that, it could rival what we saw a few years back when we had the disease problems in the U.S. The numbers are so insane that, we don't want to overembellish, but the numbers are so insane that one should be very mindful that this could get really out of hand very, very fast.
In a cattle sector, there is optimism apparently building already for 2019, even though the new year is still over 3 months away. Trader John Roach describes the current situation and how it lines the beef sector up for even better prices perhaps next year.
We're moving cattle through the system. We're at peak slaughter numbers right now, the cattle on feed report showed the cattle on feed at a record level. So it's supply driven. We've got a lot of supply out there. The good news is that the packer is able to move the beef at some higher prices. The packer's making a lot of money. They'll probably have a record year, and some of that will trickle back down to the livestock producers. We think prices can do better, and so we think that we're in a kind of a low ebb area here. We think with what's going on in China with their pork industry means that you have to be more cautious about selling anything out ahead, and become a little more optimistic about overall demand here in 2019 and beyond.
Back to trivia now as we wrap up the markets this week. Our question: how many of Mississippi's current residents were actually born in the state? Well, the correct answer is D, 72%.